They've offered plenty of thoughts and prayers, members of Congress, but they passed not a single new federal law to reduce gun violence. Enough prayers. Time for some action.
Going in depth as pressure rises following mass shootings in the U.S., President Biden laid out his plans for limited gun restrictions today. The executive order includes these 5 items you see here: restrictions on ghost guns, restrictions on pistol stabilizing braces, red flag legislation for states, money for community violence interventions, and an annual report on firearms trafficking. This afternoon, we are joined now by the chairman of Utah Shooting Sports Council, Clark Aposhian. And Clark, going through some of those items there, I'm just curious what your initial thoughts are on these executive orders.
Well, there's a lot of misunderstanding on let's take, for instance, a ghost gun. A ghost gun is, it's hard to describe because that's a made-up term. I mean, it's like assault weapon and that kind of thing. It's made to demonize and to be scary. I mean, ghosts are scary. But they're also imaginary, as is the crime that is portrayed by them. You're talking about an individual. They've always been allowed to, under federal law, to manufacture their own firearm for their own personal use. But the moment that firearm is transferred, whether it be sold or given or even loaned, that firearm must have a number on it under federal law. According to the Department of Justice stats, the crimes that are perpetrated with a so-called ghost gun or untraceable firearm are extremely low. And, a person could accomplish the same thing, a criminal with that mindset, just by filing off the serial number, and you'd essentially have the exact same thing. These ghost guns are extremely expensive and require some expertise to manufacture. You've got to have a drill press, you've got to have a lathe, you've got to have, drilling and cutting and tools and that. And then you still have to add 31 more parts to even a standard semi-automatic firearm to manufacture one of these. It's much easier just to steal a firearm, which is what they do.
And then talk to me about your thoughts on the restrictions on the pistol stabilizing braces. And that's to make the weapons more stable and accurate. Is that how that works?
It does not make the weapon more accurate, I'll tell you that. It doesn't make it any more accurate than a regular rifle does. And what we're talking about is barrel length. And if you have a pistol, if you have a rifle, it's got to be 16-inch barrel length. If you have something shorter than that and it doesn't have a stock on it, then it can be classified as a pistol. And what people have taken to doing, especially disabled folks, is putting what they call a brace on instead of a stock, where you can strap it to your arm. He wants to put those through a registration process, which requires a $200 tax stamp and approximately a 1-year wait time to get approved to possess that.
Do you see any positives coming out of any of these restrictions?
Well, I wish he had talked a little bit more about suicide. That's our big problem in the United States right now, where we've got up to 86% of the gun deaths being suicide. And he didn't talk enough about that at all. He just barely glanced over it. And I think he had an opportunity to really make some good headways into that. We're doing that in Utah, and I think that could be a template for the rest of the nation.
Clark Aposhian with the Utah Shooting Sports Council. We appreciate your input today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.